Sales outreach strategies, blending calls and emails. Stop choosing between calls and emails. If you're still debating calls versus emails in 2025, you're optimizing the wrong thing. Your prospects aren't living in one channel, and your outbound shouldn't either. The goal isn't to win an argument about medium. It's to reliably create conversations that turn into qualified meetings. Today's B2B buyers bounce between email, phone, LinkedIn, websites, and internal conversations long before they reply to a rep. McKinsey's B2B research shows buyers regularly use 10-plus channels to interact with suppliers, which means any single channel strategy is invisible for most of the journey. If your team is only sending emails or only dialing, you're gambling that your buyer's preferred moment just happens to match your one channel. A blended call plus email strategy fixes that by treating outreach as one coordinated system. Calls create real-time clarity and momentum. Emails scale, document value, and make follow-up frictionless. When we build outbound programs at SalesHive, we don't run a cold email agency playbook separate from cold call services. We run a multi-channel cadence where each touch supports the next. Why multi-channel outreach wins in crowded markets? Email-only outbound is harder than most teams admit. Across 2024 to 2025, average cold email reply rates commonly land around 3 to 5.1%. While top-tier campaigns reach 15 to 25% by tightening targeting and personalization. The gap isn't magic copywriting. It's list quality, relevance, and a follow-up plan that doesn't rely on hope. Cold calling is similar. It's low connect but high leverage. Benchmarks put connect rates around 3 to 10%, with roughly 2.3% of dials converting into meetings overall, which is exactly why volume and segmentation matter. When you combine calls and emails in a single cadence, the email makes the call warmer and the call makes the email feel real. The biggest upside is what happens when channels reinforce each other. Adding phone and other touches to email can drive up to a 287% engagement lift and as much as a 300% conversion lift versus email alone. That's not a nice to have. It's the difference between a program that drips replies and one that produces predictable pipeline. Design a cadence that creates momentum. High-performing outbound isn't a one-and-done email or a random dialing spree. Research-backed cadence patterns typically land around 8 to 12 touchpoints over 17 to 21 days, which is long enough to break through noise but short enough to stay focused. The key is to make every touch earn its place by adding value, proof, or a clearer ask. We recommend building your cadence around combo moments, where a call and email work together. A voicemail without an immediate follow-up email wastes the moment. An email without the option to talk can leave objections unresolved. Treat calls and emails as two versions of the same story. The call is the fast path to alignment, and the email is the written record that helps the prospect forward internally. Your entry point should also be intentional, not habitual. Test call first versus email first by segment for 60 to 90 days. Then standardize what produces meetings, not what produces activity. If you're running a B2B sales agency or an internal SDR team, this is the difference between busy and effective. Make execution repeatable and measurable. A blended strategy only works if reps execute it the same way every week. The simplest non-negotiable is voicemail plus email pairing. Every voicemail should trigger an email within 5 to 10 minutes that references the voicemail and repeats the single, clear reason you called. This is easy to enforce by building the pairing as one combined step in your engagement platform, so it's impossible to forget the follow-up. Next, instrument your CRM so you can see what's actually happening. Your RevOps team should be able to report on sends, replies, connects, meetings, and outcomes by step number, channel, and persona. Without step-level tracking, teams argue about opinions instead of improving based on evidence. Finally, keep your list tight. A lot of outbound underperformance is just bad targeting dressed up as messaging problems. Tighten your ICP, remove accounts that don't fit, and align your call script and email copy to the same core value proposition so prospects hear one coherent narrative no matter how they engage. Prospects don't need more touches. They need a clear reason to respond, repeated consistently across the channels they actually use. Messaging that sounds human on both phone and email. The most common mistake we see is channel mismatch, a thoughtful email sequence paired with a generic call script, or a strong call opener paired with vague checking in emails. Your messaging should share the same spine. The trigger, why now? The problem, what's costing them? The proof, who you've helped? And the ask, a small next step. The difference is format. Calls should be conversational and diagnostic, while emails should be crisp and forwardable. On calls, aim for permission-based clarity. Your opener should confirm relevance quickly, then ask one question that reveals fit instead of launching into a pitch. If you reach voicemail, leave a short message that mirrors your email's subject line idea so the prospect connects the dots when they see the follow-up in their inbox. In emails, earn the reply with specificity. If your baseline reply rates look like the market average, 3 to 5.1%, the fastest lever is usually tighter segmentation and better personalization, not longer copy. When the email and the call tell the same story, your team stops feeling like an outsourced sales team blasting templates and starts sounding like professionals who did their homework. Fix the leaks. Follow-up discipline, and diminishing returns. Most outbound programs don't fail because the first message is bad. They fail because the follow-up system is weak. Follow-up emails can lift response rates by up to 21%, and many campaigns see more than half of replies come after multiple touches. If your reps stop early, you're paying for list building and tooling only to quit before the payoff window. At the same time, more touches isn't always better. In 2025, BDRs report averaging about 21 attempts per contact. But simply stretching sequences longer doesn't reliably improve quota attainment. The practical takeaway is to keep your standard cadence tight and time-boxed. Then reserve extended pursuit for strategic accounts where you're evolving the message and multi-threading stakeholders. If you want a clean rule, be persistent, but don't be repetitive. Every touch should introduce a new angle, an insight, a proof point, or a sharper question, so you're building credibility, not annoyance. This is where many cold-calling companies and cold-calling teams struggle. They increase activity without increasing relevance. Optimization: what to test and how to improve fast. Once your cadence is running, optimization should be structured and continuous. Start with entry strategy, call first versus email first. Then test one variable at a time. Segment, subject line style, voicemail length, call opener, or the CTA. Keep the success metrics centered on booked meetings and qualified opportunities, not vanity metrics like opens or total dials. Timing matters, but only inside your data. Block calling during windows when your team historically connects. Then use email to set up those call blocks so dials aren't cold in context. When you pair a call with an email that references the same trigger, you'll often see higher connect-to-meeting performance because the prospect recognizes the narrative instead of reacting to a random interruption. If you're considering sales outsourcing, hold your partner to the same experimentation standard you'd expect internally. A strong outbound sales agency should be able to show step-level results, segment-specific learnings, and a clear testing roadmap. That's how you turn a blended motion into a compounding system instead of a monthly scramble. When to build in-house versus use an SDR partner. Blended outreach is simple on paper and hard in practice. It requires tight list building, consistent rep execution, and operational discipline across tools, data, and coaching. If your SDR org is small, stretched thin, or still defining its playbook, partnering with an SDR agency can accelerate results while your AEs stay focused on running deals. This is the gap we fill at SalesHive. Since 2016, we've helped 1,500 plus B2B companies book 100,000 plus meetings by running coordinated multi-channel campaigns that combine cold calling services, personalized email, and high-quality list building into one system. Our team operates like an extension of your revenue org, not a disconnected vendor. And we plug activity and outcomes into your CRM so performance is transparent. If you do decide to outsource sales development, start with a pilot in one ICP or territory and demand measurable learning within the first few weeks. The objective is not just more activity, but a repeatable cadence that produces meetings at predictable rates. Whether you hire SDRs internally or engage a cold calling agency, the winning approach is the same: coordinated touches, consistent messaging, and relentless measurement.